have, all these different ideas, all these things I want to do with hemp that I am doing with hemp, but I felt that in order to actually roll them out, I've seen this as a recurring theme in the industrial hemp space, where it's kind of ironic that because hemp is capable of doing so many different things, people want to do all those things with it. And that's been an interesting experience for me on my path and journey as a hemp entrepreneur, is that try to do all these different things and really need to narrow it down. And that was really the idea behind simplifying things with my brands, Eat More Hemp and Hemp 3D. It's just like boil down, simplify it. Let's make sunglasses. Let's just get something out in the world. Let's start making and showing stuff. And primarily the hemp sunglasses are being used in that way. Like when I started Eat More Hemp, Julia, this is kind of, speaking directly initially to your question, is like, what can we do in the bigger picture? Well, in order to get to the bigger picture, we have to figure out the chicken and the egg thing, the cart and the horse, the supply and the demand side, the infrastructure and everything, right? Those things have to scale together in order to have a larger impact. And that's what we're doing, these organizations, the World Hemp Alliance and Hemp Innovation Center. But years ago, like when I started Eat More Hemp in 2014, it was just a way for me to boil down all the excitement and all the tens of thousands of things you can do with hemp, with no way of getting there, to a simple thing that I could hand someone. Like I said, I've handed out literally 30,000 of those hemp stickers over the years, mostly face to face. So I'm just always out there, getting the good word out. And it was just a way to boil it down to a simple way to change the tide and get people to be, oh, we can eat it. Like a lot of people don't even realize, like you can even eat hemp. What do you eat? It's the hemp seed. Explain the health benefits, and it's just also a good way for people to remember me by, if I'm out at an event or even at a concert or wherever I am socially, I can have this touch point with someone and then build the relationship from there. And then also, I think it may have cut off when I was saying about Hemp 3D. It's what we're doing today is sunglasses and board games, but in the future, car parts and spaceships, because it really is that capable. There's really some magical things about the hemp materials that do warrant a hemp innovation center, that do warrant having a World Hemp Alliance. So what is the World Hemp Alliance? It's primarily focused on the supply side, the cultivation, production, and processing of raw materials. It's a global agricultural cooperative that will help monetize farmers' carbon credits and then turn those industrial hemp carbon credits, which are very verifiable and can be made immutable on the blockchain with our organization that we're building within the World Hemp Alliance, again, hempally.org, through the governance of the organization through a DAO. So even though it's a global, it's basically we're modeling it after other successful global agricultural cooperatives like Ocean Spray Cranberry. Ocean Spray Cranberry is a global multi-billion-dollar brand, but it's actually owned by 700 farms and individual farmers, which is an inspiration to us. And we're then layering on top of it, the latest in blockchain technologies and governance approaches, and utility in our token. The Hemp Ally token will be utilized for tracking provenance, which basically means seed to sale tracking on the blockchain. And so by layering in these advanced technologies on top of proven agricultural cooperative structures, we can build out that critical supply side of industrial hemp. Because in order to really scale large scale industrial hemp, you really need many million, which is what's necessary to make the bigger impact, Julia. You really need many millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars worth of infrastructure to do large scale industrial hemp. Can a lot of small farmers doing hand processing have an impact? Yes. Is that going to happen in the United States? No. Is that going to happen in Africa and other places? Yes, absolutely. And that's the focus there. So those are different approaches that we can take in this organized structure of the World Hemp Alliance to do the right type of processing and the right type of genetics for that latitude, longitude, soil type, economic status, etc. So with the World Hemp Alliance focusing on the supply side, it's better that it's not trying to be everything to everyone and do all the demand side stuff. So we started the Hemp Innovation Center to focus on the demand side and build out like the go-to-market strategy of all the different materials at scale. Starting initially with basic stuff, grain, food, seed, and herd for building materials. So the two most viable initial industries for industrial hemp that require the least amount of sort of processing to finished product are hemp building with hemp. I don't use the term hempcrete because I think it's confusing and misleading. I prefer to call it hemp lime because that's what it is. So I highly urge and recommend that you all consider calling it hemp lime because hempcrete is very, very confusing. People think that it's to replace concrete, and that's not the case at all. Concrete's a great thing for pads, for pavings, for ground stuff, but it's a terrible thing to build walls with because it creates with concrete walls and structures. It's just way too rigid, way too heavy, and creates an acidic, sealed environment that's very conducive to mold and fungi and issues. Whereas a hempcrete wall is breathable, fireproof, or fire resistant anyway, and just better in every way. I mean, the higher pH of a hemp lime, I just caught myself there. I said hempcrete, didn't I? So it's going to be a process because for years I did call it hempcrete, but hemp lime makes so much more sense. In fact, at Parsons School of Design, they also, I just learned that they're calling it hemp lime as well. So that was exciting to see. And then the next most viable market to develop and roll out is foods. So having that impact and rolling out grain and herd fiber at scale is most viable. Textiles, not likely to see a hemp textile industry happen in North America anytime soon. It's a couple $100 million investment, and the fibers, the content, actually a lot of myths and misnomers around hemp. I mean, granted, people are ignorant about hemp because it was erased almost, or tried to be erased, obviously, from our history. And that's quite a rich history. If you look into it, it's very fascinating. It's like hemp was one of the first cultivated crops, if not the very first cultivated crops by humans, dating back with evidence to 8,000 BC, and in the Middle East and in China. And then, there's definitely tons of recorded history of it used all the way through, even all the way up to World War II. The United States wouldn't have been able to win World War II if it wasn't for hemp. And that's quite factual if you look into their Hemp for Victory 1942 campaign. So we know about all these benefits, but you're really getting the average person to get up to speed on the facts of it is interesting, because a lot of people just think that hemp is a cousin of cannabis. It's not. Hemp is cannabis. Hemp is just cannabis with less THC. It's just a different variety. Like there's white grapes and red grapes. That's just different chemotype expression. So
can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just as you were saying, for like building block production, these kind of things, I was wondering if the material needed to begin this, it's okay to use standard machines for corn and and other grains, or they need to be very specific for both cultivating, harvesting, and separating the different material, because I guess the hemp blocks and stuff won't have the grains in it, so there happens a separation. I don't know if between the cellulose and the external fiber of the hemp, or just the grains is enough.
I understand. So, well, when you're saying grains, you mean the seed?
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, the grains in the seed are in the calyx or the bud at the top of the plant. All the fiber that you use for hemp lime is the hurd on the inside of the plant stalk. So when you grow for CBD, for example, you're not growing for the fiber at all. You're just growing for the flower, or you're not growing for grain either. So when you're growing hemp for CBD, you want sensibility, you grow it like marijuana. And the fibers there are very big, but they're not really any way to process, because you're growing, they look like Christmas trees, like shrubs. They can't really be processed. But for industrial hemp produced for hurd and grain and long fibers, it's grown more like corn, where it's tall and slender, doesn't have a bunch of branches, can grow upwards of 20 feet tall in 100 days. My friend Larry Serbin from Hemp Traders out in California has a Guinness Book of World Records, an actual Guinness Book of World Records, the tallest hemp plant grown in one season, 26 feet, I think, the 6 inches base, which is just crazy and not really manageable either. So the right way to grow industrial hemp for its industrial purposes, hurd, the fibers and the grain, is to grow a tight seeding density, grow tall, slender plants with long stalks, and then process those through decortication. So it would be separated, the grain would be separated from the fibers, the stalk, at harvest with a combine. So the combine is combining different processes at harvest, a combine or a manual separation, harvest the seed pod at the top, that gets separated into a different hopper, and then the stalks oftentimes are just laid out in the field to ret. A retting process is the breakdown of the lignin. Lignin is.
May I interrupt you? Yeah, I see you're going into the flow.
Yeah.
A lot of information to share. So we are getting close to the end of the session. I just want to make sure that everybody is happy here. So did we answer all the questions? There were some discussions in the chat about the legal story of hemp, can farmers plant it and so forth. So is there anything left open from the audience here, just as a final question to conclude in the next 2 minutes? So Frank, you had a couple of comments in the chat. Are you happy, or is anything left open? You're happy? Okay, nothing. Anyone else? Yeah.
I can touch on the first question we had from Peter, since he did ask the question, and then the time flew by. I mean, there's so much to share about all this stuff. It's complex, but it's difficult to boil down. But the bioremediation, bioaccumulation is fascinating. Hemp has even been proven to cut down on the radioactive half-life of from like nuclear disasters and that kind of thing. They've been doing that research in Ukraine actually for years. But there is an exciting project that's going through the Hemp Innovation Center soon that allows, it's a plant auxin that produces it's a bacteria that produces a plant auxin that allows hemp to grow even in coal fly ash, which is the waste of a coal burning power plant, which is loaded with heavy metals and a lot of good things too, and it's a liability. But with this new plant auxin and this new approach, and with hemp, specifically hemp, because it's the only thing that will grow in it, we can turn that liability into an asset. And all the stuff that we need for making the digital world, the computer chips and everything else, actually exist in that coal fly ash. It's just locked up in it, and it's mixed with radioactive materials and everything else. So it's a very powerful plant for bioremediation, bioaccumulation, but then all that stuff's in the stock. So there are some technologies that we're also developing that can help liberate those with resonance and pulse waves and micronization of new age milling techniques for milling the material down into its individual constituents and into micron sizes and separating with single pass without actually even physically touching it. So this is what's so exciting to me about hemp, is like, wow, my passion for hemp has led me to creating space age technologies for processing material with new milling techniques that aren't mechanical. It's just, and that's still the tip of the iceberg. It's just fascinating.
Naturally, see, you are so in the topic, you are so passionate about it. So I hope everybody has got your contact details, access to your website. So thank you very much for all the sharing.
Please.
Time too. So we have 2 minutes left to switch the rooms or to have a bio break. Thank you very much. Copy the chat if you want to capture the information. I copied it as well. So have a good afternoon and whatever where you are, morning. See you later.
Follow Eat More Hemp, guys.
More hemp. Bye.
Blaze on. Peace.